Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Doyle, this is the Verdigris Table, and today we are discussing spell selection. Right up front, I'm going to tell you that this is not a video about the best spells in D&D or the most optimal builds for whatever class you are making. One, I think that stuff is very subjective, right? It depends on your class, yes, but a lot of like spell selection, I think, comes down to personal preference, and that's kind of the gist of this video. If you're looking for optimized what the best spell is for my class, then I always send people to rpgbot.net. Tyler Castro over there does an amazing job with analysis for just character builds and a bunch of other stuff. So I send my players over there if they're looking for that stuff. What this video is all the other things I tell my players after I send them to RPGBot. Now, there are a bunch of other resources about optimizing your spell build out there, but what I'm going to say to you right now, what I tell my players after I send them to RPGBot, is that don't feel like you have to choose the best spells for your class. It is all going to come down to personal preference. It's going to come down to gameplay. I mean, if your personal preference is to like build the most optimal character and try to win D&D, right? If you're just like trying to pump out the most damage, then like cool, go for it. If that's your thing, go for it. And there's a lot of resources out there to do it. But I am strongly recommending that you choose spells that you think are cool and are going to be fun to cast at the table with your friends playing this game. And also choose spells that are going to fit the concept of your character. So for instance, if I were rolling up a white-scaled, dragonborn sorcerer who hails from the far north icy tundra, then I don't really care if Firebolt and Burning Hands are going to do more damage per round on average over time. I'm taking Frostbite, I'm taking Ice Knife, I'm doing what I think fits the character and is going to be cool and fun to play at the table. And take something like the cantrip Friends. That can be like pretty difficult to pull off, honestly. With a 1 minute duration, it's a little tricky. So yeah, I might try, just persuasion skill checks first, and if it really counts, then I might actually be like casting a higher level spell. But if I'm gonna make this like enchantment wizard from the Feywild or whatever, then like, yeah, I'm gonna put Friends on my spell list. And that's my personal preference. I like character-driven choices, even if they're a little less than optimal, or sometimes like maybe more than a little less than optimal, but that suits my style of play, the way I have fun, and like the tables I'm sitting at, whether I'm the DM or a player, usually that fits. Now, I do enjoy the min-max munchkin, only worry about like damage output side of things sometimes, especially if we're going to play a one-shot and it's very, combat slugfest, then like, yeah, you better believe I'm optimizing, taking feats that are gonna help me, put the hurt on things for sure. Absolutely. That is definitely fun too. But if you're looking at guides on the internet, it seems often that that's the main thrust of things. And I'm here to tell you, balance it out, do what's cool for you. Ultimately, it all comes down to context, right? What's going on at your table. Like a lot of things in life, it's about context and it's about communication. If we're about to sit down with a bunch of power gamers and it's going to be a brutal war, then yeah, you want to optimize. You want to lean into damage and combat strategy and care a lot less about character growth and goals and whatever social play, exploration, RP side of things. Because, if you don't, you're actually going to have a lot less fun at that table, and you might even end up getting some characters killed. On the other hand, if you're about to sit down at a table with people who the majority of the time are going to be role-playing, and the scenario is you're trying to solve a murder mystery while navigating the complex social mores of the high court, then yeah, your master blaster is going to have a lot less to contribute in that situation, and you're not going to have as much fun. The majority of games are going to fall somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. So my best advice to you, beyond, do what you think is cool and fun, which admittedly is maybe a little bit toothless, is be ready to hold your own in combat, but don't get fixated on that at the expense of the other aspects of the game. You're definitely going to want to take some damage spells. It is D&D after all. So depending on what you're rolling up, right, because each class is going to be different, but you probably want a cantrip that deals damage, so you can, one, hold on to your spell slots, and two, have something to do when you've used up your spell slots. And then you probably want to bring along something a little bit more of a tactical nuke. Something that's going to do a lot of damage, maybe that you can upcast, or that's using one of your higher level spell slots. Something that's going to really put the hurt on the big bad evil guy when it counts. It's also smart to have some sort of like defensive capabilities in combat, be it like a buff to like cast shield on yourself, or heroism on yourself, or the tank or whoever else. You could also consider taking like escape capabilities, doing something like Misty Step or Expeditious Retreat when things are going sideways, can help your character survive. You could include like control spells in that slot too. Something like Entangle or Hold Person are going to maybe save your bacon, and are obviously going to be useful in other situations as well. And you could kind of consider healing as part of this category too, depending on your class and again your party composition. You might want this kind of thing and also healing spells available. But yeah, a good balance to have, a good baseline, is to have one or two things that can dish out damage, and at least something to prevent or stop or fix damage being done to you. Now, that might be all the spells you can know, depending on your class and your level, but once those like basics are filled in, then look at taking some more utility spells, especially a utility cantrip. Something like Prestidigitation or Thaumaturgy or Druidcraft, almost, but not really, sorry, Druids, but Minor Illusion. Some flexible, versatile, cantrip that's going to let you do a lot of stuff if you're creative in, social scenarios, maybe in the precursor to combat scenarios. If you're clever, or you do a little research and look up some guides on Prestidigitation, there's a whole galaxy of useful stuff you can do, and also fun, flavorful stuff you can do. If you want to make a caster feel like a caster, then having one of those utility cantrips in play are really going to help you accomplish that. Whether or not you want to walk around with glowing purple eyes, or open the window from over here, or turn the light on or off. Yeah, that's where those utility cantrips are really going to come into play and be super useful. If you can take more cantrips because you can learn more spells, or because you've decided I'm going to, rely on a weapon attack instead of a damage dealing cantrip as my like default thing to do in combat, then there's a few other utility cantrips that are clutch, that are great to have. Something like Message can be really powerful, really great, not using a spell slot. Light, depending, even if you have dark vision. If you rather have Dancing Lights, even though it's not as good because you're rolling up a bard and you want multicolored disco lights, even if they're dim, going around as you play your tune. And, I don't care that light is better. Do what is cool and fun and right for your character. Mending can really save the day, a little more situational, but once in a while, like, mending is just the thing. And this is a good place to, have that communication. Talk with the other players at the table. Because I don't know, if I am going to take Mage Hand, which is a really, really great cantrip to have, if the person sitting next to me is made an arcane trickster or rogue, and their whole character is based on using Mage Hand, then one, I'm kind of stepping on their toes, honestly, and two, they can do it better in the first place. So me, not taking Mage Hand and taking another useful cantrip, one is going to make it more fun for both of us, but two is going to make it better for everybody as far as like party balance, optimization. There's going to be more things that we collectively can do because I didn't double up with the rogue. So definitely talk to the other players about like their own spell selections. You want to confer there because, again, if like the wizard is taking Identify and Detect Magic and Comprehend Languages, and they can cast those as rituals, then there's no reason for the Warlock to take them. The Warlock can do other things for the party and kind of free things up. If no one is bringing a healing spell to the table, then yeah, maybe the Druid wants to, prepare Cure Wounds or Healing Word or something. So is this metagaming? Maybe, but, it's going to be way more fun, and it's just going to be a way more balanced, powerful party if you guys are talking about this stuff. Sometimes in those conversations about spell selection, you're going to hear, this is the best answer for you. This is the right thing for your kind of character.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Again, if nothing else, this video is about do what is best for your character, for your play style. And that might be different if you're rolling up a one-shot than if you're going to be playing in a campaign. And, some one-shots turn into campaigns and some campaigns turn into one-shots, unfortunately. But your answer might be different depending on the context, depending on the other players, characters at the table, and depending on the last character you played, right? Your answers for this game might be different than the answers for the next game. There's no one singular right way to roll up a cleric, and don't let somebody else tell you, you're a cleric, you got to be the heal bot. You can be the tank. You can be the damage dealer plaster. I often, I want to roll up every kind of cleric. I want to make a party that is just wizards from different schools, differentiated so that you have good party balance. That gets my juices flowing. It's a collaborative effort. So do what's best for you and do what's best at the table. I think it's story time. I once made a level 5 Tempest Cleric, and the whole idea was he's going to be Thor, right? Hammer, Lightning Bolt, Thunder Wave, Thunder Step, and my big one, my whole coup de grace was going to be Call Lightning. That's kind of what I built the character around. And right before game night, my wife came up to me and showed me her spell list, right? Communication. And she's like, hey, check this out. I found this spell. It's called Call Lightning. It looks really cool. I took it from my druid. And I said, cool, that is a very good spell. I almost just built my whole character around it. But you take that and run with it. It's going to be really cool for your druid. And it turned out that it was better for my character, who fulfilled the tank role because he had the highest AC, the highest HP in the party, a dwarf with a shield. My concentration was better spent on Spirit Guardians. So now I'm still fighting in the midst of the lightning storm that my wife's druid is controlling, it's a safe distance away. And I'm surrounded by these spectral Valkyrie and my spiritual weapon hammer coming down on things. And it was epic. And if I just stuck with what was optimal instead of what fit the context and the character, it wouldn't have been as cool. Communication and compromise are the key to a happy marriage, as well as a fun D&D game. Beyond talking with the other players, it's also a great idea to talk to the DM about your spell selections. Are we going to be playing a much more combat-centric campaign or a more social-centric campaign, right? If we're going to Barovia, then maybe I'm going to put the Necromancer on the shelf and roll up a Paladin. Now, some DMs are maybe going to be a little reluctant to share a lot about their world or, the plot, the style outside of the game. And I understand that impulse, I do. But, if you invited me to a movie, I would ask you, hey, what's the movie about, right? I don't want spoilers, but, having some sense of what I'm walking into, what kind of genre it is perfectly reasonable. So again, communication and context. Take what seems best for you, not what seems capital B the best. According to someone on the internet, even me, if you want to take the capital B best things, because that's the way you like to play games like this, then yeah, cool, go for it, do it. In fact, that's the easy answer, right? But if you've got room on your spell sheet and you're looking at something that feels really in line with your character, or just really cool if you could pull it off, even if it's pretty situational, I say go for it. Unless it's Find Traps, just get a 10-foot pole. And don't take True Strike.
This is the way.
All right, thanks for watching. I appreciate you very much. If you enjoyed this, please hit like. If you want more like this, hit subscribe. If you had any ideas spark while I was rambling on, I would love to hear about them down in the comments below. But yeah, get out there, have fun, build a character, and select the spells that seem best for your character, for you, for your game, for your table. Be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.